Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where purpose meets performance. Hosted by business strategist and human behavior specialist Carly Pepin, this show dives into the real stories behind high-growth businesses. Let's bring life to your vision.
Hey guys, so welcome to today. I have a really exciting interview for us. I have Joy Lynskey here, and she is the founder and CEO of Jewel Toned Interiors, an award-winning women-owned interior design studio based in Fort Lauderdale. With 2 decades of experience spanning design, construction, and planning, Joy leads JTI in creating inspiring people-centered spaces with a special focus on serving the underserved. Deeply rooted in community, she and the JTI team give back through partnerships with Habitat for Humanity, Be Strong International, Junior Achievement, and Make-A-Wish. Joy is equally passionate about developing future leaders, mentoring young designers, and empowering others through public speaking and workshops. In 2023, she became the first female president of the Construction Executives Association, reflecting her commitment to breaking barriers in her industry. Her leadership and vision have earned numerous honors, including Entrepreneur Organization's Entrepreneur of Excellence and IIDA South Florida's Star of the Year. So, welcome, Joy. It's really great to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about this. I know that you always wanted to own your own business. Where do you think that first came forward? Just wanting to have your own business versus working for someone?
I'm definitely my dad. I'm the daughter of an entrepreneur. He owned a fruit harvesting company for over 35 years. So my whole childhood, I got to see kind of like the benefits of that and the flexibility that that allowed. The real growth years and building years were before I hit the scene. So when I was a kid, like he got to spend a lot of time with me. So I got to see how the autonomy of your time and your schedule, I think would be a big part of it.
Okay, very cool. And I'm curious as well as like what actually got you into interior design?
Yeah, oddly enough, I started out a psychology major just because I've always been interested in people and why they do things and kind of like what makes people tick. And when I was studying psychology, I had a friend who suggested to me, like, like what are you really gonna do? He asked, like, how do you plan on using your major? And I had no answer for him. I was like, this is just what I want to study. This is what I want to learn. So he's like, well, you're creative. You should look into interior design. I'm from a small town. I think it was like early days HGTV I think it was like Trading Spaces. Do you remember that show?
I do, I remember it.
Yeah, I think that was like the closest thing, which is like an iota of what interior design is. And so I went and met with the department chair at University of Florida, and it happened to be like a top rated program in the country, and kind of never looked back. I made the jump, and I loved it immediately. I loved how hands-on it was.
Yeah. And I'm curious because even the psychology dynamic, how do you intertwine that with what you're doing today? I'm sure it's with your customers, clients, but also with your employees.
Like everything. I wish I could have double majored, but interior design, I worked through college and interior design was too rigorous. But uh I mean it comes into every single conversation. Well, interior design is really like a Venn diagram of art, math, science. I mean, and even a little bit of like social studies, right? Like because it's like the study of people. So for me, it's just such a blend. In psychology, comes like why people do the things they do, color psychology, workplace like trends and cultural trends all feeds the interior design industry and really is the basis of why we make our design decisions.
That's really cool. And I'd be curious to like step me through a little bit about how that looks when you apply it to a client, right? And coming from human behavior, I'm like, I love this stuff. So I'm curious with that dynamic.
Yeah, and it feels like nebulous, right? Like kind of abstract. So it's like hard to even talk about. But at the end of the day, we always just ask people, like, how do you want people to feel in your space? So,
Mm.
do you want them to feel inspired or invigorated or relaxed or empowered? that's all like workplace, or maybe even, relaxed might be more for like a spa or even a restaurant. But like whatever the answer is to like how you want people to feel in the space at the end of the completed project, we have the ability to reverse engineer to get there. And all of our design decisions will feed that um the design solution to the answers that question. Because at the end of the day, and that's why I love like even core, I'm sure you're really into like core values work and like
Yeah.
who you are, mission, like what's the company's mission. And um I just love that InterDesign has the ability to bring the core values to the built environment, like to actually, really be show up for your team with your core values, not just like have words plastered on a wall.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think it's really cool too, the space dynamic. There's a place I'm thinking of in like California area now. They're expanding and they expanded a little bit to New York, but there's this store called Erewhon and it's a very fancy organic grocery store. And I swear, I keep saying that it's a culture they built and it's an environment they built because you go in and you get really good food, like their hot food bar is great, their smoothies are great. But you walk out and you have one bag of groceries and you spend $150, $200 and you're like, why am I not breaking a sweat? What is happening right now? How did they make this so comfortable? But like the design of the space and the environment that they created, it genuinely, it's the weirdest thing. My friends and I laugh about it. It makes you feel comfortable doing that. And I think people discount like how much the design of a space actually impacts us even as consumers, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be that easy
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that goes into it, right? Like even fast food places are designed to make you move through it, right? Like
Yeah,
every single aspect, there will not be a chair that is comfortable to sit in for more than 30 minutes in any fast food.
I can
And it
see
is
that.
designed, it is rated for 30 minutes of comfort. Like that is a rating. So we always work with our business owner clients, like you need like the chair that your team is sitting in is one of the most important investments that you can make in this entire project because it's literally supporting their body.
All
And
day.
then of course that has gone on to like stand sit desks and oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
And
that's okay.
everything that has to do with the workstation, not just the chair.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And tell us a little bit more about like the psychology that you've incorporated and integrated with the employees. So I know you talked a little bit about core values, which I'd actually love to know the core values of your company too. I love hearing about what people are living by
I'm
and
silencing my phone, sorry.
you're fine.
So what would you like? You want me to start with core values? Because
Yeah,
that
let's do core
really
values.
feeds into my team. Yeah. Okay. This is like a test. So we have seven. We have collaborate constantly, choose empathy, think outside the box. Other people call that innovation, but we like to push that a little bit more because it feels too generic. Um, embody excellence, grow or die, which is a tough one, because it's pretty intense, but and then have fun.
Yeah.
And to have fun, I had family members that were older than me that really told me I needed to let that one go and that I was feeling my youngest child of six, like kind of like, no, and then I like doubled down. I'm like, I'm definitely not gonna let go of this one. And like, I'm so glad I didn't because have fun is
Yeah.
important to our work and work can be fun. And I love bringing that to the team and we like to joke and be goofy and it's important. And I think it comes through the work, right?
Yeah, no, I love that. I totally agree with you where it's this dynamic where you could be working on something that's a really challenging project, but you could still make it enjoyable. You know, you could still have deadlines, like you said, grow or die. You could still be growing or dying, but simultaneously, it's like we could also make it fun if we set that precedence that this is a fun thing to do, and it doesn't have to be as stressful in a sense. So I love that you guys are doing that. And when you think about the incorporation of these values, like how are you guys making sure that every day you're living by the values, you're kind of experiencing them?
Yeah, so we talk about them a lot, like outside of just performance reviews. Like everyone is, performance reviews are important, and we make sure that there is a cultural check to see that everybody aligns with the values and in what capacity. And to be honest, not everybody, it's never going to be the same across the board for someone's tenure here. They may be going through something personal where some of it will ebb and flow, and that's okay. That's a human experience. But then we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have huddles, morning huddles. They're like 5 to 10 minutes. And we call out someone who's been exhibiting the core value and we name it. So that's just, so it is like constant. Like that's why I'm able to rattle it off so easily because it is so like ingrained.
Hmm.
We use it in our sales pitches. We show it to clients and prospects to see like, does this align with you or does this, make you excited to work with a team that this is what we're all about. So it's really used like in a lot of different ways and very intentionally.
Yeah, that's awesome. And even when you're showing it to clients, right? It's almost like you get to interview clients. So when you guys are showing it to them, is there certain questions you ask or indicators that show you these people are genuinely aligned also with our core values? Like they would be a great fit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask like, how do these align with the way you do business? Or even like, I'd love to hear yours because if we're doing a workspace, we ultimately need to know them. And a lot of times they don't have them,
Yeah.
um, especially for startups. Uh, and you can start with a couple. You don't have to have a ton. Integrity is a massive one. I did say integrity is integral, right? Because that's probably if I had to pick one,
Hmm.
only one, that would be it.
Yeah, I like that one. And even the dynamic of meeting a client that doesn't have core values. Like, how do you work with a client like that? If you're talking to them and you're thinking they don't have actual written down core values, but it sounds like we are aligned, how do you work with them to be able to incorporate that in their space if they haven't established it yet?
If they don't have core values, there's still typically a story they want to tell. So we just really lean into the storytelling side. Like,
Hmm.
I'm thinking of a food and beverage project that we're going to kick off soon, and I don't know if I necessarily have their core values like in mind, but they have been really clear about the story they're telling and how they want people to feel in their space, and so that we're able to really use that as a springboard for the design of it and how
Yeah,
we work together.
that's actually really fun. It's fun because it's like you get to listen to the story, you get to hear the story, and then you get to like help bring that story to life into an experience, which sounds really cool.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
4D, right? Like, and I
It
feel like with the way everything is going and everything's so digital and everything is so fast, like I do feel like that intentionality and like holistic approach to design and to experience is just going to be that much more important
yeah.
from
And
a
I'm curious.
competition standpoint, but then also,
Yeah.
just for our well-being.
Yeah. I'm curious too, because I worked in the photography industry for fashion photographers. So we did all the stuff, the client says this is the campaign they want, this is the feel they want. You do all this work on the back end. It's like months of preparation for like 6 to 8 images that get launched, right? But we didn't really have like a celebration dynamic. It was more when someone drove by a billboard or it came in a magazine, we share it with the staff, right? So that was kind of
Mhm.
the way that we love to do it because we like to see it concrete. I'm curious, like, is there a way that when you guys finish a project, like, how do you guys connect with maybe even the success of it? Because I know, especially when it's not something in our space, it could be quite challenging to do, but it just, there's so much work that goes into
Yeah.
it, you
I
know?
mean, the best ones, I mean, the mo often
Yeah.
we don't leave a project, meaning like we end up, using the conference room as a meeting space for one of our quarterly meetings, or we'll do like a fitness class at a gym we designed, and then of course like eating at restaurants that we've designed. So there is a way for our team to like celebrate the spaces. Um, some of them, and then if we all share the pictures, right? Like,
Yeah.
so whichever design team is on a project, the rest of the designers may not have seen it, but they will have heard about the project a ton and probably weighed in at some point on a design decision here or there. And so it's a fun celebration, like, oh, and that the professional photography is a really exciting time for us just to be able to share. Like, it's almost like show and tell, like,
Yeah.
look at my project,
You're like, I did
Uh,
it.
right, for the rest of the team. And then of course it filters through sales and marketing
Yeah,
and all
no,
the
that's
other channels.
amazing. I think it's really important to have that dynamic where they can have those experiences because it's again, I don't think people know how much work goes in on the back end and how much time and energy. And then it's
No.
like, and then we're done and moving on to the next. But when you get to sit in something and feel it and like experience, we did this, like it really is profound. It really is
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
it's like the purse hook on the back of the doors, the bathroom door stall, right? Like
Yeah.
that's really detailed.
Yeah.
But that's important, right? Like that goes to your experience of a restaurant. So like we get really big, it starts really big and grand, big ideas and big conversations, but then it goes very granular.
Yeah, and even those little tiny details. Do you guys have checklists and stuff to make sure that every small little detail is kind of tackled? Because I know there's probably a significant quantity. It's like you say the person on the door, but there's just so many different little details. Like, how
Yeah,
do you
it
keep
really
track of them
depends.
all?
I know. It also depends on the level of engagement, right? So like not everybody wants to that level. Even some of our developers, they want us only to focus on the more public spaces, like the more community spaces, which we're happy to do and will make a big impact. We don't get involved in that like unit, like what's the drawer pull in the kitchen in the unit. I would love for us to be involved, but that's probably a budget, reason why we're not. And I still think we can make a major impact because those community spaces are an extension of their home.
Yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. And I'm curious as well, because I know that you mentioned that you work across generations, right? Like you have Gen Z and you have legacy leadership teams. So what do companies like really underestimate when you're designing spaces for just this different age gap?
I think, well, first of all, I can be guilty of it too. Like we can all put people in boxes, right? Like based on their generation. Where like a lot of times if you ask questions and like lift the hood, if you will, you'll find out things that will really surprise you and like and how people behave and operate.
Mm,
So we love to conduct anonymous surveys. And we do really push for that for workplaces because ultimately like the leadership team knows what they know, but they may not know what's not being said. And so these anonymous surveys give them the opportunity to at least have the data of like how is your space currently working for your team? And if they
yeah,
had a utopia and could do what do they think would serve them the best? And then that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to say yes to everything, nor can they like please everyone, but at least you can find some common grounds and be like, oh, huh, I had no idea that this was a breakdown that was occurring in our space. It could just be like an adjacency, like something isn't close enough or like an ease of circulation route kind of thing. And all that's something that we can tackle in space planning
yeah,
and make
that's
it work
very
better.
cool. Yeah, I love that. And I know that you guys, it's not just the corporate offices, it's not just also restaurants, all these different dynamics, and you do laundry as well. But you guys also do some residential work
We do,
too.
and that's newer
Yeah.
for me to say publicly because we've done it since the company started, but we're really kind of pushing more to get into it.
Hmm.
Very different conversation, very different level of intimacy and working with the clients, as you can imagine. But also really fun
Yeah.
and just a way to really support families, and people just in their day to day.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. If you're really resonating with what we're talking about and want to get clear on what truly drives you, what your core values are, head on over to my website. In the tools and tips section, there is a free values assessment. And this is a quick exercise that's going to help you to uncover what actually matters most with you so you can lead and live with more clarity, fulfillment, and momentum.
Yeah, and I know when we talked about it a little earlier, we joked around a little bit because you're like, I'm kind of a marriage counselor sometimes, where the
Yeah,
psychology degree comes right back in there.
for
Uh,
sure.
so tell us a little bit like how you manage that dynamic, because and I know people have heard this all day, every day, is that when they renovate or they build, like it's a massive cause of divorce. So on the back end, like how are you helping to manage whether it be the expectations of the clients or the different challenges they go through so that you guys can be able to collaborate with people in kind of really challenging situations.
Yeah, I think it's like it's a game of compromise, like most relationships, right? So you have to like make sure that both parties are seen and heard. And then also like figure out what the deal breakers are. Like, people are so funny. Like someone could like hate the color green, or like a husband could swear that they want this specific sink, that they have to
Mhm.
have this one sink. Or they want to keep their grandmother's like, I don't know, desk or something. Like it could be anything or all of them.
Yeah,
Um, we can work around that. Like really, there's no like typically like the big deal breakers that are at the end of the day going to be the things that like blow up, like whatever that is, we typically can like still make them work.
yeah,
And that challenge is fun. Like, okay, like you want this and you want that, and like what about this? Like if we present something that is solving both, but maybe something that they neither of them decided or considered, that's really exciting because we're just bringing, a solution to the table.
that's really cool. I love it because it sounds like you've systematized a dynamic of understanding kind of like the psychological components of what people are desiring, wanting, but how to get them to work together. Because I was going to ask you how you train your staff for this, but it sounds like you've systematized it in a way.
I mean, it is a big part of it is empathy, like
Yeah.
a real big part of it. Like, so a lot of interior designers they have a look, and I'm sure like if you go across of all of our projects, there is somewhat of a JTI look. But ultimately, our projects are very client driven, so none of them are going to look exactly the same, and that's by design. I tell my team all the time, ad nauseum, we walk away from the job like we are involved for anywhere from 6 months to years, on a project, but then we walk away, and these people are stuck with our design decisions, right? Like this asset in whatever way it is, whether it's commercial or residential, it's an asset to the client. We we leave and they have to live with it. So for me, that means that like the only way I can sleep at night is knowing that like my team is asking those questions that they may not think to give that information, and that we are designing with their goals in mind, not necessarily our style or what makes us tick, because it's not about us.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool. I love that. And even that dynamic of, connecting with someone, connecting with their style. Like, I think sometimes we can fall into the ease of creating it on our own. Like, how do you guys, I feel like it's also undervaluing like how difficult that could be to step outside like our own personal design aesthetics and really connect with someone else. So how do you guys like train your team? How has that come forward to be able to say, like, I really love this, but like, how could I make this beautiful with maybe something that I actually don't even like?
It's hard. It can
Yeah,
be. Like
it is hard.
I mean, at the end of the day, I just really talk about possibility and like being open. So and like not being stuck in your way. And like that does go back to grow or die. Like
Yeah.
you just like, and it's so funny. I came across something this weekend where I was like, yes, this is it. Like for me, the most intelligent people are the people that don't know. They
Yeah.
know they don't know, right? That are
Yes.
always willing to unlearn and relearn. And so like I really just tell my team, like, don't stake your claim on it. Like you really need to pick the swords you're gonna die on. Because like,
Yeah.
and they need to be few and far between. Because at the end of the day, most things are possible,
Yep.
right? Like that weird, heirloom desk. can work with like whatever other weird color that the other person is demanding has to be in the space. Like we can make it work. Which is what's so fun about design is there's so many different ways that you can go with just like one space, one
Yeah,
room.
that's cool. I'm curious too, like when you guys get the feedback, do you get a large amount of feedback? It reminded me of like I had my wedding ring designed, like custom designed. I'm just too picky. It is what it is. But simultaneously, I also wasn't that picky. Apparently, other brides were way pickier. Where they came and they wanted exactly this and this way, and I just had some heirlooms and I shipped them all to her and I said, I don't know what to do. I was like, you just do something. This is kind of what I like. And it took her a lot longer, but she got really creative with it. I'm curious when you guys are getting projects, is it mostly clients who are just so specific on what they want? Or do you guys just kind of have a little bit of direction and those like specificities, and then it's like a little bit of get creative, do design?
It's both.
Hmm.
Like I have one client that we've done a ton of work for and he has a very specific aesthetic that I know, like, and I can like give the parameters to the team. I'm like, you can play like in this area, but like don't go over here. Cause like, and then there are some people that just are like, surprise me, wow me.
Yeah.
That's why I came to you. And that's fun. That's really fun too, but it actually can be more hard not to have the parameters
Yeah. That's what she
because you
told
don't
me.
like have the context. And then you're like, well, we could do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, budget for the most part, like the big B word typically like hones us in on this is where we're at. Um, the budget and then of course the look and feel that they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm curious the budget too. My parents renovated their home last year. So they
Oh
had a
man.
budget in mind and very much went over it. Do you
Yeah.
find that once people get started, because I think what I've noticed is people massively underestimate like the cost of a renovation and what things actually like cost. And then they get into the drawer handles and all these things, and they're thinking it's going to be XYZ, and they're realizing that the thing that they actually want is so much more. They usually, what I've noticed is they're springing for it, but is that something that's quite common where they come with a budget and it's hard for them to stick within it?
Yeah, it is hard to stick within it. Only because a lot of people just it's like they don't know.
They have
Like
no
they don't know
idea.
what things cost, right?
Yeah.
Like even in commercial furniture, people are just blown away at the
It's
cost of
so
commercial.
much.
It's so
Yeah. I was
yeah.
just looking for my parents, they have them all, and I was helping them with the inside, and I was like, this is so much money. You guys ready to spend this?
Yeah, it's a lot, especially if you need it durable and like a place like that, high traffic. Like it's
Yeah.
so much money. But
So much.
but it is like you get what you pay for. So
It
there's that.
is.
Yeah. But then there's also scope creep, right? So like when people do renovations a lot of times at home, they like start here and then they're like, oh, we need to do this too. And then it just like grows. Like the popcorn ceiling in the adjacent room is not going to be okay next to the newly renovated space. So they'll
Yeah.
want to rip that down. So what's hard then is that we really would have rather designed from the get-go, like holistically everything so that we can, because we wouldn't like necessarily use the same material into like the adjacent rooms, just so we can be really mindful of it and make it all work together. But yeah, it budgets creep quite often. And then unfortunately, post-pandemic, like the pandemic just like totally threw a massive wrench into everything construction related and the
Yeah.
cost of goods and services.
It really did. Yeah. Oh, it's very, very interesting. And I'd love to dive back into kind of the office and like even your office. So you guys have an office, and I know that you were very intentional on also designing it. So why do you think that was important for you and your team to stay in person with, everyone doing so much remote? I can't tell you how many people are doing remote nowadays, which is wild.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm a big believer in like just like overhearing like what's happening and like being able to solve projects problems real time. I do believe like there's so much mentorship that's lost when you're not in person with people. We have a hybrid team, so the whole team works from home on Fridays. for the most part. Um, there's exceptions, of course, when a client needs us to come and we will. And then we have one team member because she is a mom of young kids and lives far. She's hybrid. She only comes into the office 1 day a week. So we're all kind of like flexible with that, but I I really believe like there's so much missing when you're not together. Um, and just in like the camaraderie of it. Like
Yeah.
so when our one we call our team gems. So like the people that work here are gems. So with our one gem, she actually had to be in the office like 3 days versus 1 day last week, and everybody keeps talking about how great it was. Because it's like we enjoy being around each other, you know? So there's just that much more value when all of us can be here. And then like just to supporting them in the environment, we spend more wake time in our offices than we do in our homes typically. If
Mhm.
we have like a traditional, work from the office environment. So that was just really important in how we designed this space just to be really warm and welcoming and comfortable.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'm curious as well, because I know that even that dynamic of your office is predominantly female. How did that happen? I remember you said it was an accident.
It was, I mean, I think it was an accident. I don't know. It was definitely, I mean, I'm obviously a female, and then I have my business partner who joined me um in 2017. She's female, so and then our team and we ended up hiring one guy. Who was a bit of a unicorn because he had like four sisters, but I just think, it works well. It's like kind of like why fix it if it's not broken? Would we hire men? Absolutely. The opportunity hasn't presented itself as much. But we also really enjoy being girly and silly in a way that we probably couldn't, if guys heard our conversations. So, yeah, like we had like a book club last summer because we could, like some
Mhm.
romance novel. Like guys probably wouldn't really enjoy that.
Wouldn't dig it. No. They're like, don't make me read this.
But we did it and then never talked about the book. Like
Yeah.
we all read it. Well, for the most part, like a couple didn't, but our
Uh,
interns didn't. But
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'd love to talk about like your quarterly powwows as well. So I know that you had implemented them before a lot of firms were doing anything like that. So when you decided to implement those powwows, what problem were you trying to solve when you created them?
I think it was just mind share.
Hmm.
Maybe it's like being the youngest of a family of six, like always hearing everybody else's opinion. Um, I think I just wanted to pull out of the people that I had in the team, like what they thought would move the needle forward and make the business better. And also like a safe space for everybody to to show up and how it's occurring for them, right?
Hmm.
Because we all create stories and of what's happening, and so it's just really good for us all to kind of get like where everybody's coming from. And then it just happened quarterly. And then I ended up reading like EOS books, which really run on like a quarterly cadence too. But our powwows are completely separate from EOS in that they're very regimented, but they're specific to us.
Yeah, and breakdown, I'd love to hear what that looks like. Like, what is a powwow? Like, what actually happens in that dynamic?
Yeah, so
Mm.
we meet off site just to have, a change of scenery, especially being interior designers. We always appreciate that. We say, all titles are dropped, right? So we want people to really be able to challenge one another and
Mhm.
debate respectfully. So the morning is all about the past 90 days and like what happened and what went well and what went wrong. So we go through all of our clients and we actually just uh, categorize them in the work that we do and whether or not it really feeds our soul, if we enjoy the work. So we use emojis, we use happy face, frown face, and meh. And all the clients get categorized there. And then the ones that pay happily and on time, they get moved up because obviously, and so the happy face, the ones that pay and are happy to pay us, um, that's like that's our A client, right? Like that's
Yeah.
those are the ones we want more of. So then we have a whole sales and marketing conversation about like how do we get more of these clients? And it's so interesting because they'll be across industries, across generations, like across like it's real hard to there's not like just one, you know, avatar.
Yeah.
Um, but typically at the end of the day, what we always find, they're the ones that trust us.
Hmm.
It's always the word trust is like the biggest word. Um, so then we also reviewed like the metrics over the past 90 days and like who did what and how did that show up? Because we do EOS, we have rocks, which do your listeners, do most of them know EOS? Can I use that term?
I feel like a lot of them are going to go no EOS. I did scaling up for like my coaching program because I love this stuff.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is
So a rock
yeah,
is a
it's
goal. It's a
same.
quarterly
Yeah.
goal. Yeah. So once someone's been here for 90 days, they at least have one powwow where they don't have a rock, and then they will have one for the next one.
Yeah.
So everybody gets to present like this is what I did, this is what I've worked on, and that rock is typically like working on the business, not in the business. So that means that they're all like really kind of having autonomy in where this business is going, which is exciting. And we don't assign rocks, right? So like someone says, "Oh, I'd like to take that on," when we start talking about it. We break for lunch. And then the afternoon is about taking what we found in the beginning and then just moving into the next quarter and setting the next rocks and what do we want to, tackle and move on to. And there's different activities that we'll do to like fulfill all that.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And I'm curious too, because one thing you mentioned as you were, looking at the client base that was your favorite, right? Your A clients is that they're the ones that trust you the most. So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about how you create that trust with that client from before you even meet them. And I imagine you're delivering quality service, so they trust you now. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a big part of that is like meeting people where they are, right? Like even communication styles is really important. Um, you know, some clients want to call and some want to email and some want to text. Like that, it seems small, but that's pretty important. Um, Also just understanding like really being like team players in terms of because we work with, architects, engineers, general contractors,
Hmm.
subcontractors, like there can be so many parties and so many stakeholders in a project. Just being really like team player and solution focused, I think also helps that trust. Like we're not like it was that guy, like,
Yeah.
pointing the fingers. Like we really want to come together and come up with a solution. And then of course that goes to like our relationships with our vendors is incredibly important because a lot of times like we come up with these ideas and like have all these grand plans, but at the end of the day, like they're who help us implement it,
Hmm.
make it all happen.
Yeah, and I'm curious too, because even that vendor dynamic, right? Like you guys work with a lot of vendors, I'm sure. Like, how do you select and weed out vendors? I know that there's a certain degree where you've worked with some for a while and they've proven to be quality, but how do you start to identify those quality vendors in the beginning?
The first one, the first red flag is the lack of openness,
Hmm.
right? So like when we talk about scenarios or go through, because in the world of construction, things are constantly moving and moving like, you know, warp speed or like molasses, like it's like and everything in between, right? So I think just getting on the same page and making sure that they'll do whatever it takes when we need whatever it takes and they'll rise to the occasion. Some vendors like won't work on a Friday or like sorry, won't work after hours or won't work on a weekend. And that's okay, but like some jobs we may have to. Like if it's I don't know. They for whatever reason they are commit like they have a workforce that are using their space Monday through
Yeah.
Friday, and we can only come in on a Saturday or Sunday. We're gonna have to have that flexibility. Um, and there's so much like the communication, we are extremely responsive. And so you can see that happening really early when you're just getting numbers and just like asking for pricing or asking who the right point person is for X, Y, and Z. The responsiveness, you see it. Like, you and then on the flip side, you see the red flags too.
Hey everyone, it's Carly. So, if this conversation is really hitting home and you want to get a real snapshot of what's working and what's not in your business, head on over to my website in the tools and tips section and you can have the business performance health check. In just about 15 minutes, you're going to see where the friction is and where your next growth opportunity lies within your company.
Right. So, at the end of every project, and this is something we do in the first part of Powwow, is we have a lessons learned, and we go through two projects, and we literally go through every lesson that we learned, and that way the design team that wasn't on the project is still getting the value of
Hmm.
whatever breakdowns occurred, and that comes to that whole grow or die.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the lessons learned dynamic is once you guys have those lessons learned, like how are you cataloging that, organizing it? Because again, it's just having all this stuff in our brain, we're just never going to remember it all.
So we're huge Google people.
Okay.
So like Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Slides, like we have Google, yeah. So we have a lessons learned Google sheet that has tabs for every single project that we've ever done. And the good news now is with AI, and this is a great, like, AI is so good with all the analytics side of it, is we can catalog that and you can see the themes.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Is that something that you guys incorporate now? Like once you see the themes from lessons learned on just tackling that in a different way?
Using AI for themes is something that I've been doing more recently,
Hmm.
like, and getting better at it, right? Like, and it's just incredible. Like for me, that's where AI is so great, is like the analyzing of data, and we have so much data, right? So that's I don't know if that answered your question,
It
but
does,
that's
yeah.
where.
Because I mean, it's all fresh for a lot of us. We're
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
figuring out the best way to utilize AI in our own internal systems. Yeah, but the data
yeah,
analyzation is one of my favorite by far. You just put all this stuff in, you're like, da da da, give me this. Find the
yeah.
themes, find the commonalities, you know?
Yeah, and even agreements, like misalignment of agreements. So it's been really helpful because we sometimes white label other subcontractors, and like it's just it's really great. And it's efficient, and that's for me, that's like really good use not using my brain power for that. Like that
Yeah,
is
it's
not,
true.
you know,
I don't want to do
like
this.
no, I don't want to, nor do I think I'm good at it. Like
Yeah,
it's
exactly. What can we delegate to AI that it's amazing at?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah,
that's awesome.
it's been fun to play with and to discover.
Yeah,
And
that's
then on the
cool.
flip side, I'm only talking about like breakdowns, but really like there's always a vendor who was like save the day. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times, as the owner, I call them and was like, "Hey, my team was like raving about you, and I can't tell you what that means to me." And then my gift is one of my love language um is gifts. And so I love to be loved that way, and I love to love that way. So one of our most amazing vendors, we gave him like an insane, like I feel like we spent like $700 on it, but we like curated. I mean, you got a team of women, right? So we
Yeah.
like curated this gift, and he's like, "How did you know this about me?" Like I'm like, "We're not stalkers, I swear." I mean, like maybe a little bit, but like,
Like
and we
I'm
had his
really into
shoe size.
psychology.
Yeah, we had his shoe size and his like, favorite restaurant and like all this stuff. But it's
Yeah,
fun, just to make people feel appreciated.
it really is. Yeah, and make them feel special and just seen, really.
Yeah, we had a meeting. He's like, I was coming here to tell you how much I appreciate you guys. And then we like gave him this like massive gift.
Oh, that's so
Yeah, it's
cool.
good.
Yeah,
Really
I could
good.
see how that they would really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, because with AI, right? I think something interesting that comes forward is AI is like also trying to design, right? Now, for me, you can tell me what the gap is because I don't think I can explain it because I don't have the background. But like I'm like, oh, my when my mom was redoing her house and stuff, and she wanted to do something special in the bathroom, and I put the bathroom and all the info into like one of those AI apps that designs things for you. It comes out, and I'm like, this is just awful. Like over and over, it just came out awful, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't figure out what the gap is, and we couldn't figure it out. But it's like with design what is it about like that human element versus like artificial intelligence that's actually missing that I can't put words to? What is
I
that?
mean, I feel like we just like humans get humans. Like I feel
It's
like that's so
awful.
basic. But
Yeah,
like
right. Okay, there, maybe that's just it.
but like it also is the prompt, right? So like my outputs of AI might be better than yours only because I know what to ask,
Okay.
right? And then I also like to start with something and then you can like take this but do this or like
Yeah.
so that at least you have a base. But we still struggle. We still really struggle with getting it right. And then like the precision side. So if we ever do present AI like renderings, we're like this is just like a guidance. This is not what we would actually do. And then like we get
Yeah.
a little more deeper. So typically we still are not doing AI renderings. We're still doing photorealistic renderings where the render is choosing the actual materials that we're putting on, the light levels that we're specifying, the scale and size of the furniture, like all that. That's we're still there. We'll see
Yeah.
how long we stay there.
I'm
But
not sure AI can do it yet. I mean, and when I say I tried, I sat there and I tried for like hours at a certain point because we had an interior designer at one point, but we were their first client. Beautiful work, not great customer service yet. I think that
yeah.
in the future they'll do wonderful, but I think like being someone's first client, it could be a little tricky. So
Yeah.
we sort of took it over, but we just couldn't get it to do all those things we were saying, where it's like it wasn't the right size, it wasn't the right thing. We'd put in exactly what we wanted. It would skew it all different ways. And so I'm not sure because I'm not like an AI programmer or anything. I'm like, will it ever get to that point? But it seems like this could potentially be one of the things that like AI cannot replace. It's just quality
Yeah,
design.
I mean, at least not to the level, right?
No.
Not to the level of intentionality
Yeah.
that we bring, right? There will, but like sometimes I'm like, this is pretty good. There's just like, I mean, there's usually like five things. Like I'm like, I would change this and this, but like overall, I think it's good for like a almost like a litmus test. Like,
Yeah.
do you want like moody or like light, bright, and airy? And then those are very, very different directions where someone's like, I don't, when I say those words, some people are like, I don't know what you mean by that. But then when you see it in the space, you're like, oh, 100%
Yeah.
I want moody. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Which is helpful too, because I know those renderings they can cost a lot of money because they're a lot of time. So I can see how that could save some time and money for people who just want to test it out in the beginning.
They do, but then it's such a tool because going back to budget, if you make any changes and you can just change your rendering so you can see what the changes are costing you aesthetically,
Yeah.
they're worth their weight in gold.
Yeah,
Because you're
absolutely.
still only doing like ideas versus like actually swinging a hammer and causing a lot of expense.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, that's very true. And okay, so I'm curious too, because I know that in the beginning you started only with interior design, but you've expanded into architecture and the brand and light, or excuse me, brand alignment. So how did that evolution happen within the company?
Really just seeing the need for clients, and wanting to have the like integration of all three, like working and, rowing in the same direction, if you will.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll ever stop working, I don't think we'll ever fully do all projects architectural. And even when we do architectural projects, they're still interiors led. So we're still having those like experiential conversations with clients. And then the architecture will, of course, support those design decisions.
Hmm.
The branding for me has been like in the back of my mind since I started the company because not that I am a brand strategist by any stretch of the imagination, but I the first half of my career was in retail design. And so working with brands across the world. And seeing a ton of brand guidelines and then actually helping them to take that brand and bring it to three dimensions. Um, and so I just love that conversation. A lot of people don't get into brand quite like I do, and I feel like it's just a way to really drive home the way a company operates or a business operates, whether that's retail, restaurant, workplace, hotel, like any of it.
Yeah, I love that. And even during your expansion, I know that you mentioned you didn't chase it, like it was very client led. So what's different about growing in response to demand instead of going out and pushing it and forcing it? Because you guys still have the core value around growth,
Yeah.
but you're not pushing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's just like crawl before you run kind of
Hmm.
thing. Um, like we're still crawling with with bringing architecture to the table, but I'm excited for what the future holds. We just have like such a well-oiled system and processes around interior design. So as we integrate architecture into our suite of services, we're gonna want to bring that same level of intentionality and that whole check back, right? Like recalibration that we do with lessons learned, we're going to want to do that with architectural services as well. And the alignment of other trades. So we don't have engineering, so we're still going to need to hire engineers, whether that be mechanical, electrical, plumbing, or structural, civil, just depending on the complexity of the project. So those alignment and strategic partnerships will really come into play.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that even in the beginning, we mentioned, even in your bio, like you love doing overlooked spaces. And one thing we had talked about, which was you did a laundromat. It's very exciting to me because my husband helps his family start a laundromat in Canada, but he was also like, it needs to be intentionally designed. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about like what is exciting about, working with these overlooked spaces for you.
I mean, I think it's just that at the end of the day, like, unfortunately, laundry is a necessary evil for all of most of us, right? Like
Yes.
most of society. Like I know I spend a ton of my weekend doing it. Um, and so if there is part of, our communities that are having to go somewhere to do this inevitable thing, it's why shouldn't they be like supported holistically while doing it? And if we can, make them laugh or support or bring any joy to their life through that design, then I feel like we need to do that. And that's why like I think we just actually signed two more of the same client that our first laundromat. Um and he keeps he loves working with us and making sure that he buys them and then he transforms them into his brand.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm curious too, because like even him, is that something that's unique to certain individuals where most people who have these sort of overlooked spaces like don't even think about cultivating it, creating it in such a way like that it is more maybe customer centric.
Yeah, I think it
Hmm.
ultimately comes to, I mean, he is a very people person, very giving, like gives back to his community, is involved in a lot of nonprofit volunteer work. So that shows, right? Like, so then
Yeah.
of course he cares about his clientele too. So I think, you're gonna find the spectrum of people like you will in any other aspect of culture.
Yeah, that's definitely, I feel like an aligned client for you guys. He sounds cool.
But
He
say that
sounds
again.
cool. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
really aligned client for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool because it came through my childhood best friend, which is like
Oh,
so
that's fun.
random. Like, but my childhood best friend's wife, like it's like just random that she would be the one to refer us.
I love that. That's really
Yeah.
cool. And I'm curious too, like, what does the future look like for JTI? Like, what can we expect to see from you guys in the future?
More architecture and branding. Um, Growing the team is important. But I would love to, this is something that I'm like playing with whether or not what it looks like, but whether we mentor other like fledgling young startup interior design companies, or we just do really, really well and end up investing in them. But in some way just kind of moving forward that legacy and mentorship of like the next generation, how we're bringing them up and having them have very like the same level of intentionality behind the way they treat people, both clientele and the people that work for them.
Yeah, that's very cool. I feel like once you decide how much you want to be involved, you'll figure that one out. But you
Yeah.
seem to really like people, so
I
it may
mean,
be a one-on-one dynamic for you.
yeah. Yeah, it's just it's a lot, right? Like
It
and
is.
I do would love to find a way to mentor young business owners, only because there's so much that we've worked through that like is worth its weight in gold, just because of the like all the challenges that we've had through the years.
Yeah. No, it is actually pretty amazing. I could definitely see you doing something like that.
And some of it specific to being women, like having babies and having to take off time and sales
Yeah.
stops because it was founder-led sales and, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, which is a huge shift and it is a difficult dynamic. I haven't had kids yet, but I think about it all the time and my brain is already trying to plan and coordinate and organize. So it's like, how can I maintain certain aspects of the business? What's unrealistic? What's realistic? What am I delegating? What am I holding on to? It's such a life change.
Yeah. Yeah. Then at the end
Yeah.
of the day, sometimes you just have to be like, let go.
Yeah.
Just
You
let it
gotta
be and
you
just
gotta
let
let it
it be.
go. And I ask
Yeah.
all my female business owner friends who have gone through it, I'm like, prepare me. Yeah. What am I looking at?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for planners.
Um,
It's hard. Yeah, but it's so worth it.
yeah.
And we have a lot of moms. We have, I mean, four, two, three, four of us are moms. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you again so much for coming and let the listeners know where they can find you, where they connect, check out your business, check you out.
So like say it now.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So
Definitely.
we're on Instagram with Jewel Tone Interiors. We're on LinkedIn under the same. We have a monthly newsletter, which is a really great way just to like see what we're up to and get inspired with design. We do color trends. So we are a little behind. We're about to release our 2026 color trends, even though we picked them in August last year. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, we're out there. We're pretty easy to find under Jewel Tone Interiors. And then my personal LinkedIn, I have a newsletter as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. And for anyone who didn't catch all that, I'll have the information in the show notes.
Great.
Yes. And I really appreciate you coming. This was really wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Carly. I enjoyed it. I so appreciate it.
Yeah.